please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before you all sit down, we remain standing. We need to have a moment of silence for Mackenzie Hayes, the third grader that was killed, and Rebecca May. Thank you. We have the approval of the minutes for the November 15, 2011 regular meeting. All those in favor to approve the minutes, please say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Public comments. Ron Sachs, LCHS, talking about campus security.
I want to thank the board for allowing me to speak to you all this evening. Actually, there was something else that I wanted to just bring to your all's attention that had been proposed to me, and I just sort of wanted to get some feedback as to how you all would feel about it if we had conducted that at Lincoln County High School. The first thing I'd like to provide with you all is the S3 monitoring grant. Monitor had come through and had conducted his yearly monitor, and this was the results of his day at Lincoln County High School, and I just wanted to bring a couple things to your attention so that you can see what this S3, the Safe Supportive Schools Grant, has been doing for Lincoln County High School. If you're not aware, the S3 grant provides close to $65,000 per year to improve school culture and school climate. And at the end of last year, there was a survey conducted by students as well as staff, and from that survey, we were given a school climate index ranking, which was the ranking of a 6, which is sort of on it was on a scale of 1 to 9, so 6 being on more of the positive side. That some positive things are hopefully taking place, but our goal is to get up into the 8 or 9 in the way of the school climate index. If you look at the findings, staff were trained in S3, yes. Staff buy into the S3. Nearly, he over in his comments section, he indicated that nearly 100% of the staff are on board. The core team, which is the school leadership team, he indicated that we have an excellent core team, which is mostly comprised of department heads, as well as a few other teachers and service personnel. Clear behavior and expectations listed in the handbook. When I first started after being voted as principal at Lincoln County High School, I had an assembly to talk with students about expectations and consequences as it resulted to attendance, tardies, making sure that they took ownership and responsibility for their own learning. We are now using, for behavior, Educator's Handbook, so that we can effectively and efficiently come up with data. We can, on the fly, indicate who our top 10 referred students are, what our biggest discipline issue at Lincoln County High School is, and if you're interested in that, that currently is tardies. Incentives, we have, he indicated that we had wonderful incentives, lots of positive behavior supports, integrated character education through the use of 6 Ps, and academic advising. Parent involvement, we've had a community dinner, as well as we've hired a parent volunteer coordinator apparently through the S3 grant. Additionally, we are meeting once a week for S3 meetings as well as SAT referral meetings to make sure that parents are aware of students who are either have attendance issues, are habitually getting in trouble, or have low grades. And so teachers are making those phone calls on Tuesdays, twice a month. I myself have been conducting staff surveys once every 3 weeks just to see if staff perceptions of school climate are improving, what we as an administrative staff can do to improve the overall workplace for our employees as well as our students. One of the other things that we have been doing recently for student buy-in for the meal program is I put together a group of students to consult with Diane Miller on some of the things that they, as a student body, would like to see in their meals. And one of the things that they indicated is that they would like a third lunch line just for salad for the girls that are interested in, girls and boys that are interested in making sure that they're sort of controlling their own dietary needs. And so Diane Miller has been working very, very well with us on that as well. I'm not going to read you the summary, but there are some concerns that they have. Roger Miller, who was the person who conducted this monitor, he indicated there was evidence of a lot of tobacco use during school hours. I guess in some of the trash receptacles he had seen some tobacco. But we had noted that we felt that there was a major decrease in tobacco use at Lincoln County High School from previous years. Cigarette smoke is virtually non-existent. We haven't had, to the best of my recollection, maybe but one or two situations where cigarettes were confiscated. I think the bigger problem would probably be chewing tobacco, and so we are trying to combat that. He indicated that we're having problems with tardies, but again, we are working on that and handling those in a timely manner with our administrative staff, and I think that we are starting to see a positive change. He did indicate that our teen pregnancy is very high, which I know the county has been very, very strong in working on addressing, and we're committed to working with that pregnancy coalition. There was a discrepancy in the knives that you'll look in the report. There was 2 knives found. Those were all under 2.5. They were pocket knives that I think students had forgotten to pull out of their pants pocket. But they were all dealt with very firmly and swiftly. The one issue that I wanted to bring to your attention this evening especially was the unsecure entrance from the shop area to the school entrance he had noted, and that he had indicated that anyone can walk into the school undetected from this entrance. And before I get to that, I just want to just go over some of the commendations that he indicated, so end on a good note before I talk to you about some security issues. There's a strong leadership from the principal and the S3 team. Nearly 100% buy-in from the staff, which he said is under all the S3 grants that are out there in the state of West Virginia. He said that was sort of unprecedented, and he had indicated that this could actually, Lincoln County High School could be a model program for the entire state with the culture climate. Great incentives with the Panther Pesos, excellent use of Educator's Handbook, excellent use of conduct grades. If you're not aware, students now receive conduct grades every 6 weeks. Every student starts out with a 100%, and based upon the number of times that they would have lunch detention or a tardy or discipline referrals, then they have either a 5, 10, or 15 point deduction from their conduct grade. So at least the parent can see what that grade might be, and that we're utilizing all components and are included in the S3 plan. So there's definitely been some positive things that this S3 grant has helped us out with. What I would like to now talk with you is there were some concerns that I've had in the past with the size of the campus that we have at Lincoln County High School. Some of the concerns that Mr. Miller has addressed, as well as even some of the individuals that have been, mentoring me as principal, have had some concerns over the security of anybody in the general public being able to come into the school in certain areas. Now, we've instructed all students that you can't let outsiders come indoors or anything like that. They have to come through the main entrance to register with the main office as a guest. But there have been incidences where I've had reports that a student sees somebody that they know at the end of one of the hallways, and so they open the door and they come in, and it might be to visit with a teacher or something like that, which we just can't have. There was one situation where we had about 4 weeks ago where we had some graduated students that had come in through one of the welding shop, and unfortunately the teacher was in his classroom teaching, and he was expecting a load of material to come in to be dropped off, and so that was why the door was open. Now, I've instructed all my instructors to make sure that doors are shut and the building is secure, but it is my opinion that with a building that size, we still have some concerns that probably need to be addressed. And when talking with other schools that are in sort of the same situation as Lincoln County High School, I asked how they dealt with that. One of the things, for example, like Cabell Midland and Huntington High have instituted is a contracted security guard company that, for example, if we were to institute it, would be at the entrance of the bridge, where anybody coming into the school property would check in with that security guard. They could radio to the main office to say, you need to be expecting Joe Smith to be registering in the main office as a guest. He is here to see so-and-so. So that at least we have one person filtering who's coming into the premises. At the same time, we've had also situations where students can exit the building rather easily. We can't lock them in the building for fire hazard reasons, but they can leave if they're wanting to see up school, and by the time we find out about it as administrators, they're halfway to McDonald's. And that might be them walking, or it could be a vehicle, and of course there, we have concerns of liability, of making sure that, because we are responsible for those students. And short of putting a staff person out there, I'm not sure exactly how we can exactly combat all of the exits that the high school has to ensure that we have students not leaving. And so what I was wanting to come to the board tonight to ask was to entertain the idea of investigating how much would a security guard cost for the high school. Is it something that you all even think would be a good idea? Because I think it's important, to understand whether or not the community would accept something like that. Because, obviously we're addressing a safety concern, but we don't want to, we don't want the community to think that we have a prison either, So I understand the concerns of the community, but that's why I wanted to bring it to you all first to see if you all wanted me to look at the cost of subcontracting a security guard company to perhaps work, from the hours of, say, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., especially during school hours. I think that there might be some opportunity, depending upon the cost for this, for the S3 grant to cover the position for up to the next 3 years of subcontracting it, but we probably couldn't spend more than about $10,000 on that. So I guess what I'm saying is that if you would like me to entertain the idea of seeing what the cost would be, I would do that. We could probably cover up to $10,000 through our S3 grant for 3 years, but we would probably need some supplemental funding, is my guess, by the time you're paying someone for an entire year. I think that the way to do it, if it worked out well, is we could have our construction program build a check-in facility or something like that for the person who would be checking people in and checking people out to have cover from the weather and so on and so forth. But basically, I just sort of wanted to get your input on what you felt about the situation and maybe some suggestions you would offer.
Does Cabell Midland do that?
To my understanding is that the Cabell Midland as well as Huntington High both have 24-hour security guard services.
What's your recommendation?
My recommendation is that that we at least explore the cost to see what it would cost the county, what it would cost the school to offer that, because I think that with a school that size and with that much traffic that we have, I mean, all hours of the day we have people coming in and coming out, and I think that it's a major concern, at least while we have students in our care during the normal working hours of the school day, to have one more point of information to see who's coming on our school grounds and why. I know that I had a conversation with Mr. Midkiff this is another situation that had sort of preempted this, but long before the school was there, we had hunters on the property. And as early as last week, I witnessed an individual drive his vehicle through the main entrance of the school and over to the field where the band practices, and he parked his vehicle, he pulled his four-wheeler off and had a rifle on the front of it to go up on the back hill to hunt. And in my opinion, that he may be going off school property, but it would be totally unacceptable to have a firearm on school property. And so I turned that over to our PRO officer, and he handled it with due caution and care, and the person completely understood. But I think we need to also make sure that the community understands that we can't have ATVs or firearms on the property, even if it is hunting season. They're going off of school property and they're using an access road. So one of the things I think I'm going to I've tried to do, I haven't been successful at, is talking with Chesapeake Energy about at least putting a gate up at the end of that where the possible football field might be in the future up on top of the hill to make sure that we can't have any traffic coming up through there. But if there was a security guard at that entrance, he would have seen that there was a four-wheeler coming in and there was probably a hunter, and he could have interceded at that point. So my recommendation is to at least explore it.
Does this, what is the period of time covered by this report?
It would have covered from December of 2010 which was basically when they started the planning process. They they conducted the survey in May of 2011. So they started meeting, coming up with a plan of action from December to May, and then they actually started the survey, or they started implementing the practices this school year. Does that sort of make sense?
Yes,
Yeah.
and how long is the grant?
It's 4 years.
4 years. And this person visited on, just, I think it's just a typo, December 29th.
Yeah, actually, Ms. Lucas had pointed that out when I forwarded her the email, and I would say that would, yeah, he did visit on November 29th.
So there is a PRO officer.
Yes, we have a school resource officer who is employed with the town of Hamlin, and he has an office inside the building, and he reports there, depending upon if there's a night game or something like that, that sort of, because he likes to be there during athletic events to make sure that if there's any altercations, he can handle that at that point. But he's there for at least 8 hours every day, depending upon if he has court or what have you. But he is kept very busy in the school, obviously supporting the administrative staff, and then sometimes he's teaching a class. I know today he was teaching a course to the driver's ed students on drinking and driving and safe driving practices. So he has a pretty full plate. And I think, because I had even thought about that, and I know one of the things that he had actually recommended was doing a grant of some sort for the town of Hamlin to have another resource officer maybe stationed out there at some point. I just felt like that might be a little bit more costly.
Mr. Sachs, with them starting at 7 a.m., wouldn't that cause a backup, especially in the mornings when teachers and students are driving in?
Well, I don't think that they would do a check-in per se. I think that, one of the things that will be important is for that security personnel to sort of have what's the best way to put this? They're going to know who should be coming in and who should be going out. They're going to be developing relationships with vehicles coming in, and they're going to know who's sort of right and who's wrong. And then basically when school starts at 8:15, that'll be the point that he starts stopping traffic and checking them in and that sort of stuff.
You could also do the tags and the mirrors, do something like that.
Yeah, we could look at something like that too.
Well, I'll tell you what, you have any more questions?
What about this unsecured entrance?
Well,
What is that?
what he's saying about the unsecured entrance is we have the shop areas that have the garage doors and the bays. And of course, in the summertime, sometimes the doors are up if they're having supplies delivered, or a lot of the welding shop and the construction shop, their storage bays are actually outside of the building, and those garage areas underneath those porches. So sometimes they have the garage doors open to work on their shop stuff, and then if the teacher in the shop has his back turned for any period of time, there is a chance that someone could possibly, these are like worst case scenarios, obviously. But those are all concerns that we have. But they can shut them and lock them. That's not the concern. The concern is that when they're in operation and they have the doors open, conducting normal class time, that the possibility is there that someone could possibly enter the building, and we want to prevent that.
And you have kids outside with band, you have kids outside with ROTC.
Correct.
There's just a lot of kids that are, outside the building doing a lot of things
Mhm.
over in that area. That's what you said. You have anything else? No. I'll tell you what, Mr. Sachs, thanks for coming, and we'll talk, I can pass this off to Ms. Lucas.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Some numbers.
I do have one other thing, if you'll entertain me, that the primary care center wanted to bring to your attention. We had, if you take one and pass that, I appreciate it. We had, if you remember, we had a student pass away earlier in the school year due to a four-wheeler accident, and that student was declared brain dead, and the family had decided to take her off life support, and she was an organ donor. And a lot of the students at Lincoln County High School, according to our school psychologists as well as our counselors, had a really hard time dealing with the fact that the parents had taken the child off life support and that she had donated her organs, because they didn't really understand the gravity of what was really going on. And the primary care center wanted to speak to our students about the organ donation process and what it's about and so on and so forth. While I appreciate that. I also want to make sure that that is a conversation that the Board of Education would want to be had with our students, because I don't want the perception that we're trying to sell students on donating their organs. So before, because I could see this bringing some concern. And what we had talked about possibly doing is having a conversation with the health occupations, or the health classes, and bringing the health students in, or making sure that parents were aware that we were going to offer this if students would want to participate in a seminar of some sort. But if they wanted to opt out, they could definitely opt out. It was not required. But again, I wanted to have your perceptions of what you would prefer that this high school take as a stance on that, prior to having that very, very serious conversation with students.
Well, I think the parents should definitely be well informed on it, and maybe even have it of evenings when the parents could attend with their child if they wanted to.
Maybe offered during the health classes and
Yeah, right.
later.
Definitely flyers, communication with parents.
Is it here, it says for individuals at least 18 years old, so they would have to have parental permission to participate in this organ donation, right? I'm looking at.
Where do you see that?
On the first.
I'll be honest with you, this was thrown at me, and I said I want to ask the board for permission.
The second paragraph from the bottom.
That's for the donor.
I don't think I'll be.
That's to be done.
What page are you on, sir?
First page.
Oh.
Well, that's, I understand. I'm just saying, in order, that what we're,
This first
I
page
guess
is
the idea is to
first page.
educate them
First
as to
page.
possibly being donors, right?
Okay.
Mr. Mickey, please, put your handouts.
I apologize.
And Ms.
Yeah, we have an extra handout here.
It just makes that statement. I mean, that's just logical. It'd have to be 18. to-
That would make sense, yes.
They'd have to have parental permission.
The,
But maybe we could even request they get parental permission to participate in the activity.
That's a good idea.
like I said, I can see where it might be, it would be nice to be able to make sure students are aware of this as an option, when they go to the DMV. But again, I want to make sure we handle it with care, and make sure that the community understands what we're doing and why we're doing it, and that it's not being forced upon the students. And I want to make sure you all knew that, so that if you did have any concerned community members, that you would know what's going on.
Say it, and it could be nice to offer
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
the information. Right.
Awareness.
Okay, and just to let you know that young lady, the family contacted me, and she saved 10 people's lives. So, any questions for me?
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you for your
Appreciate
time.
All right, let's move to the administrative section. We have the A. Has everybody had an opportunity to read through the administrative section? We have A, the Marshall University student Michelle Smith performed observation in Hamlin, BK8, first semester.
And I want to add that that will be pending the receipt of written parental approval,
Okay.
okay, for this observation of the student.
B is a contractual agreement for the placement of teacher candidates and other school professionals with Marshall University. C, an agreement with Learning Focus to provide professional development in the area of reading comprehension strategies, flexible grouping with Ranger elementary teachers on December the 1st, December 15th, January 3rd, in accordance with the terms of the agreement. Go ahead.
I just have a question on, I know in the past we've had training for all the schools. Is this retraining of Ranger or the last of the training of Ranger?
This is a specific session to meet a need that Ranger had. Carol Brewer came and did an observation, and we saw lack of individualized instruction for students, lack of small group instruction meeting individual needs, and that was the next step for that school. We did the same training at West Hamlin last year and saw a lot of success. Mr. King thinks that this contributed to the growth that they saw in their reading scores last year. So Carol actually had those 3 days available at the time, so we felt that we needed to address the situation as soon as possible. We used Title I funding for the contract.
Okay, fine, thank you.
D is a contractual agreement with Kendra Samples to provide services to a medically fragile student, Hamlin PK8. E is the employment of days for the following custodians and cooks, provide minor upkeep in the buildings the week of Thanksgiving.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
too. Is this all our janitors? Do we have more janitors than this?
Oh, yes.
Okay. But,
Yes.
okay, but it was determined that, is this every school?
No,
No. This is just certain schools.
it was schools where the custodians came to a painter's class, and got certified to paint, and mostly what they were doing was painting.
Some of this was for the new pre-K school at Harts. They had to go into the rooms and put extra coats of wax on the floors before the furniture comes. So while the students were out, before the furniture comes to go in the classrooms, we needed to do that during that time. And I think there were, maybe 4 of these people.
Let's see, one came from Ranger up to help, one came from Gun Valley up to help, and then the 3 custodians in Hartsville, so there was about 5.
5.
First 5 names.
Okay.
All right. F is an agreement with the Office of the State Auditor providing an annual audit of the basic financial statement for the County Board of Education for fiscal year ended June 30th, 2011. G is out-of-state travel for all employees to go to an effective schools conference in Scottsdale, Arizona. Go ahead.
She's got a hand out to give you.
This is one of those, just, we'll pile all on you at one time, just too much confusion.
Okay, so I guess my question is, how does this affect the schools and we have to learn and focus? So is one sort of folded into the
These are all
other?
research-based
It's so
instructional
interesting, Sean.
strategies.
I know you
So
read
it's-
it.
We want our principals and administrators to stay very current. So it's all part, it all weaves really well together.
So would this be a subset of learning focus, or learning focus is a subset of this?
They are not affiliated with Learning Focus at all as far as this group.
But the strategies
The
are the
strategies
same.
are all going to be the same.
Okay, so effective schools you think is the umbrella, the large umbrella?
I think that these are effective strategies that lots of different researchers have come up with. And, you know, we're going to have researchers from this group that are going to have this basically the same message, but with the newest research that's out there. to
Okay.
keep them
So there's no
current.
problem if these principals came back and did some workshops with their teachers concerning these strategies, it would not be anything foreign to learning focus. I guess I'm
I don't think
just
so.
worried about the correlation between those
Right.
programs.
No,
Right.
I
When
think
I
it's
look-
high end.
It totally.
When I look at the
Right.
type of problem.
When you said folded, I want to say, it does.
Okay.
It all,
It
it will
totally
all mesh
falls-
together very well, I
Okay.
believe.
I think this is with this guy named Lazat. It's his
Yes.
last name.
And Learning Focus used all of his.
Right.
Yeah, well, we know, I
Strategies.
mean, this is the 29th, I mean, I know it's been around a while, I'm just
Right.
concerned about what we've been having
We don't-
workshops on and learning.
We don't ever want to layer programs on top of each other. We always try to choose things that complement what we're already doing.
I heard
I
this is a
understand what
really
you're
good
saying.
seminar.
Oh,
I
I
had
don't doubt
one of my
it.
best friends went
Doubt
to
it.
this last year, and he said it's phenomenal.
This is one of the best trainings
Yeah.
out there. Really is.
All right, and then you have Dallas Plumley, the ROTC instructor.
I'm down for that too, if you have a question.
And you're learning. We're going to try to give you guys as much information.
I'm impressed.
Well, we.
There's no way you don't need
Ms.
to.
Tracy, we're trying not to, by giving you one at a time.
Well, that's it.
Good. Any questions?
As you can see, he was selected to go to that training, so, and that's being paid for with the Army funds, so.
Okay, moving to H, to award back pay from November the 1st to Christy Linville, Secretary
Gives
of
me
the
exercise.
Central Office, Lane County High School for shift differential.
It's probably a state code.
That's
so-
copy the state code.
Why that?
Any questions on that?
Yes, sorry.
Good.
Yes, please explain.
When a service employee has a position and there is a break during the day, such as what Ms. Linville does, she is here from 5 to 8:30, And then there's a 2-hour break before she goes to the second part of her job at Lincoln County High School as the secretary. And the law is very clear when that happens. There is a differential pay supplement in there. And that just was not brought to anyone's attention. I actually didn't know that she had a 2-hour break. But as soon as we were made aware of that, then we corrected it. And that's what this is. It's just making a correction.
The next one, I believe, is to uphold the recommendation of the superintendent to approve it.
Oh,
Cool.
yes.
What's
Sorry.
that? It's been
That
pulled?
one will be removed.
All right.
Until later.
You all have heard. You all have heard the administrative section.
All move.
I'll second.
All those in favor to approve the administrative section, A through H?
Aye.
All opposed? With the schedule of invoices totaling $1,531,526.31. Is there any questions? I think you would have to call Birdie.
She was wanting to visit her little granddaughter this evening, so she
Yes.
stayed out.
She had planned to be here, and that was an unexpected visit, wasn't it? So, we thought granddaughter.
Takes
was more
precedence over
important.
about everyone.
So if there's not any
Well, I have to
questions.
agree with her too.
I move.
All right. We have a motion on the floor.
I'll second.
All those in favor of the financial statement, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, the ayes have it. Now we're going to personnel. Personnel schedule.
You have revised from on your table.
What is different about?
Yeah, what's the
Revisions.
I don't know.
Oh, you put my revised one in here, you took out
Yes, I
my
did.
other one.
I know one thing is the abolishment of the position there, the very last thing.
And the reason being, we needed to repost with different hours. Mrs. Miller, the food service director, had looked at the need at one point for evening meals, and we had posted it from 8 to 4. And then after a few weeks, and they had reviewed the evening meals, she wanted us to go back and change the posting from the 8 to 4 to 5:30 to whatever it is in the evening to 1 o'clock or something. So that's why we changed that. The original one. Oh, that was, we today received the proper paperwork from the university. The signed and sealed paperwork, and it has been scanned and sent to the State Department.
Great. Hate to lose a man
Uh-huh.
person, sure.
That was,
We added the employment of a Duval boys basketball coach. They were at the bottom of the first
Yes.
page.
yes.
We added the employment of Brandon Gibson as the Duval
Uh-huh.
boys basketball coach.
Branty.
And we corrected the date of
Oh, yes.
Dolores Jean Maynard's retirement is effective November the 9th, 2011, instead of 12. That was just a typo in that first one you got.
Okay.
The number C.
That is the person. That was the cook that we abolished, if
Oh,
you'll
that was
see.
her.
Uh-huh. That was that position.
All right. Y'all seen the personnel schedule? Is there any questions?
I think what I was gonna ask can be answered when we go over the after-school programs.
Okay.
We have a motion.
I'll move.
All second.
All those in favor of approving personnel schedule for December 6, 2011, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Wherever you are. Comments, concerns? after-school programs.
And there's
A few
another.
handouts. Not sure what to give them first. Just give it all to you.
I'm gonna have
As
Miss,
their address, they,
I'm gonna have Miss Childers to go over her report, if she would, be the first.
her report will be this.
Reinforce.
No, this, yeah, Leah made it true on the color, so that's the same thing I've got.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I need that.
Yes.
There are two reports there. The first one is a quarterly report that was sent November 15th to the state. It talks about, now this is just 21st century after-school programming. There are 4 sites. Duval Pre-K 8 is one, Lincoln County High School, West Hamlin Elementary, and Guyan Valley Middle School. If you look at that, it talks about how many numbers of students that are enrolled, the average daily attendance for September, October, and November. Then it asks us for the goals. Those are the major goals that we have for the 21st century. So this is, they're now asking them to turn in a quarterly report every 3 months. So this, you will be seeing this. The second big report, which I believe is 21 pages long, we were evaluated by a outside evaluation company that evaluated across the state all of the 21st century sites. And it's a very good report. I'm very pleased with it. But I will bring your attention to, I believe it's page 3. Page 3, it gives us our ratings. We did receive exemplary in 4 categories, and we received proficiency in 3. The reason we received proficiency is there is, with this evaluator, his concern was advocacy. Because it is a federal grant, we cannot lobby. And so I did argue the point with them that their questions dealt with lobbying, not with advocacy. So we did get that. The other one, of course, is sustainability. One of the hardest problems that I have is getting people to understand that we do not have any large industries in Lincoln County. We don't have any large coal mines. If we do not receive this money, we cannot do after-school programming. So sustainability is an issue. You know, one of the things that they asked me to do was to write grants to target JCPenney's, Verizon. And I took exception to that because I have written to those companies and I have received the reject letters. I just didn't know the evaluator wanted the reject letters, which to prove that we were trying to seek funds. So it's a very good report. It's a very interesting report. I ask that you take some time and read it, but I was quite pleased with it. So are there any questions about the 21st century after school? Mr. Matthews' son attends.
Yeah, all 3.
Yes. So, any
So we,
questions?
this grant, Ms. Jules pays for the teachers.
You're going to see on this next one.
Oh, is that the next
Well,
one?
we will go over that in just a few minutes. That will
Oh,
tell
I
you
saw
everything.
critical skills up there.
Okay. And it'll tell you how many.
Okay.
All right, questions? Any questions?
Thank you. We still on the after
Yes,
school?
yes, if you all will look at this handout. We've tried to break it down for all of the monies, the different monies that we use in order to provide for after-school programs. And you will see it is made up of the levy, the Gear Up money, critical skills grant, 21st century, county, step 7, ed jobs, and Medicaid. And it corresponds with the color. It tells you each school who is hired and what days of the week that they are at each of the sites. And if, like Guyan Valley, if you see two colors, the yellow and the purple or blue or whatever, that indicates that funding is from both of those sources. And we have broken that down on the second page at the bottom that tells you how much the 21st Century pays and then the county's contribution to that person. And
It's a lot of work.
so for the professionals as well as the service, this is for all the people that we have in place right now. There are going to be some more positions posted, I think. Charlene, yes, would you?
I have an attachment, you should have received a chart.
This one, this is the,
When we were planning for our after-school program, in the non-21st century schools, we only posted positions for 3rd and 8th graders in order to meet the requirements of critical skills, because we were not sure of how many students would participate. Well, we have more than enough money to cover those students with the Ed Jobs funding. If you will look at the chart, I have carryover that I had from last year's funding from Title I, and then we also just received recently our SIG grants. So we have funding available to offer tutoring to all students who need tutoring in the schools that are listed in this chart. So we will be posting some after-school positions soon. So if you see those on a posting, you will know that they will be covered by these budget codes that are on this chart.
So the SIG funding is not on this chart?
No,
Not yet.
No, not
no,
yet.
because it is not, because it's not providing any after-school programs.
Not at this time, it is not, but we have funding for that, for those schools. And we have multiple funding sources for several of our schools as far as offering after school.
Okay. Is Mr. Tierney, is he not on the programs in the Harts area? Michael Tierney, does he have an after-school program or?
He does, but that's a separate grant from these.
It's separate and we don't pay anything on it?
We're not paying anything through that step-by-step.
Okay. But it's operational in our schools?
Yes, in the two parts.
In those two, okay.
But we also have some after school, you can see the Harts Pre-K 8 at both of those right now. And those are critical skills. And
So what his program is in addition to all of this?
Mhm.
So
Yes.
he'll have other teachers?
yes, but his teachers are not certified teachers that does tutoring for him, so they're not hired through us.
Who's their supervisor? Do you know?
I'm
The
looking at
principal be
Leah.
the supervisor? Or do you-
No, who is their supervisor? I'm
Just-
assuming it's Michael or someone he has hired.
Somebody has to coordinate the instruction.
David Charez, I think.
Okay.
I'm assuming he collaborates with Ms.
Dingus and Miss
Dingus.
Tony.
Okay. Since they're not certified teachers, someone needs to be looking after instruction.
And that's separate from our,
Okay, so that has nothing to do with any of this. He's not on here at all.
he's not here. You will see Gear Up is noted here. We have monies, but we do not have people that have filled those positions as of yet. But if you see that coming up in postings for after school at the high school.
At the high school.
Does this help you guys?
Yes.
So you know what funding and you saw the amount that the county is contributing. The rest of it is through grants.
And these are just the personnel, this is not the number of students.
No.
Even though, I think 21st century that was covered earlier, I believe. So So are we having a lot of participation, or do you know in these other programs? We have information for 21st century, I just wonder.
I would say yes, because, and we don't have as much, because we have limited it to the 3rd and 8th grade.
It's a critical school.
And that's part of what will be, with the other money, we're hoping to be able to have more participation. We did last year.
Right.
It
And I know
was.
we currently have 8 students at Ranger Elementary who are participating in that.
That's good.
Because last
In
year.
third grade.
That's a big number for that school.
Yes.
Because we struggled getting the students to stay after before.
This year, we were able to work out the transportation, with the bus being able to pick the students up, versus last year, we couldn't get someone to bid on the job in order to meet the time frame.
At Ranger, right?
At Ranger, just at Ranger. But this year, that worked out, and it's, working nicely. So,
It's a good summer,
That's it.
a lot of information.
Y'all want to move to the teen parenting initiative? Teen parenting initiative.
I'm just going to mention briefly something about the teen parenting initiative, because more information will be coming to you all on December the 20th at that board meeting. In the nation, the teen pregnancy percentage had gone down in all states except West Virginia, and that increased. So we know that we have an issue, and then within the state, I think we're number 1. We're either 1, 2, or 3 as
Dr.
far
Smith
as.
says we're number 1.
Okay. And.
Dr. Lauren Smith, the health department.
Percentage or number, do you know?
Percentage.
Please,
Percentage per thousand.
So, we've been challenged pretty much by the Department of Health and Human Services, as well as the State Department of Education, to put something in place to address, because when we talk about teen pregnancy, when we don't want these young ladies to drop out of school, and when they become mothers, we don't want them to drop out of school. So there have been several agencies and stakeholders come together and try to come up with a plan, and that's what they will be coming to you guys with the next board meeting. But I just wanted to give you a heads up, to let you know when this when you walk in and this room is full of people, it's because they are a stakeholder, and they're very much wanting to help and be part of a solution for these young ladies and fathers.
And this is on the 20th, is that correct? And do we still have a hearing scheduled that day also?
We want them at 5. And I think they'll be brief, but they'll be very thorough with you.
I think there's been a lot of work.
There have been, there's been numerous meetings.
A lot of collaboration.
Yes.
Well, you need that.
Yes.
Something you have to have.
So, I just wanted to let you guys know to expect that.
That's good.
Okay?
Let's move on to the LCHS sign. Go ahead.
We hadn't talked about the sign for about 2 or 3 years. I thought it was a good. Now, the other day, I just happened to be out there. Donna and I have been talking about the sign, and Donna says, "I'm not sure there's 10 feet in this center." So I'm out there. I said, "I'm going to go out there and look." So anyway, while I was there, Keith Cook came by, and he started talking to me, and of course he had some ideas. So he kind of educated me on where we were, and I just, as you all know, just shared with you what I heard that day. And of course, Mr. Smith's here tonight, so he can fill us in and everything else. But I just thought we just needed to, from what I found out, where we were and what we still needed to do. And after talking to him, he said, he shared with me, he said, well, we're at the point now that we're ready to, do the brick, and then from there, the sign will be set later and how it'll be attached to it. He went through all that with me. So I guess what it got down to was a couple of things. One, and at that time, apparently there was some uncertainty as to who had purchased the brick and the block, but I think now that's been resolved and that's been taken care of, and that's not a board responsibility, because at that time, I think it was still up in the air. But I understand now that we haven't incurred any cost in any of that. It's been taken care of by somebody else. So then the issue was, and he was kind of promoting, well, rather than brick, maybe you could go with a rock surface. So we then began to tour Hamlin looking at places that had rock. So I said, all I wanted to do was just to listen to him, and then I said, well, I think what you need to do is just share this with the board, and let them just say, if there are any final decisions to be made, let's make them so we can go ahead. So I think that's maybe why they had that here. Then the only other thing was, underneath the sign itself and atop each of the tower, there have to be some kind of caps. Well, the cap wouldn't be under the sign, but I guess the same material. And then it got to be, now if we go with, and Dana's mentioned this to me, as I called him and asked him about this too. We have roughly 3 options here. We can go with a colored cement, or dark flake cement, and that would be obviously the cheapest way to go. Or we can go with McDermott, which is kind of I understand, like a slate type material that we could use for the base and the 2 caps. Or we could go with a granite base and on the 2 caps, which would be kind of the same thing as the sign itself. Now, of course, either one of those other 2 are going to be more expensive. So I think that's everything that I found out, and I just wanted us to share, because what they're wanting to do is try to get the thing finished before the weather gets bad. And so I just said, well, now, if we could just kick it around, if we have any issues, decide what they need to be, so that these guys will be able to get it done.
Any questions, comments?
I'll make a comment. I don't think we need to go with the cheapest just because it's cheap. I think that we need to stick with, there's been such an issue over this sign. It needs to be a really nice sign. So I would rather see it be granite.
Well, I favor the brick myself, for the walls and everything, instead of the rock.
Well, I prefer the brick too.
I was Freddie.
Okay.
It's
You're
not the
saying the brick?
cheapest.
This is a sample of,
The brick that's on
Yeah,
site.
same as the high school.
Same bricks on
it's
site.
what's on the old
Yeah.
sign.
What's
It's
that?
lighter of the color on the high school itself.
Right.
As long as it'll last, not something that's gonna crumble.
Well, it's already on site out there. the
Yeah,
brick is.
yeah.
So we're saying that that's one decision need to be made, that we'll just go with the brick rather than the rock. We understand, their thoughts, but once again, that's our preference.
Now, what Carol's talking about is the caps
And the little base.
yeah.
So we got 3 choices: cement color, McDermott, or granite.
Well, I'm with Carol, I know the colored cement will fade after a few years,
Okay.
and the McDermott, use only 1 or 2 colors you can get it in, I understand.
What you mean?
I was Fred.
I am too. So we,
Good, because Fred's with me.
That's right.
I was,
McDermott.
I think we're
Yeah, they
all
chose
are
granite.
unanimous on both.
Granite,
Granite, right?
yeah, don't write that down wrong.
So you want to use granite on the caps?
Yes.
Granite caps.
Granite, and the base underneath the sign.
Right, yeah.
The same color
Everything,
as the
brick
sign.
and
brick
granite
and granite.
for the 2
Granite will all
materials.
be the same
And then the
color.
mortar is, what color's the mortar between the bricks?
Well, whatever's in the high school, it'd be probably just regular mortar, I'm sure, it's gray mortar. Unless you want to use black, and of course, it'll fade too, Brenda.
The granite will be the same as the granite, the sign
I
and
think that's
caps
what-
and everything.
We're saying
will
we
be the
want to
same.
have the
Is that
granite
what
to be
you're
the same
saying?
color as the sign?
I would think so.
Can I interject on that, if you don't mind?
Yes.
The sign is dark though, right?
This is the sign.
The sign is black, yes.
Black with white
you're gonna have-
letters.
I just want to make sure you know that there'll be light colored columns with black tops.
Yes, we've analyzed that.
Oh, okay,
I
just
spent
wanna make
Sunday
sure.
afternoon out there.
They've analyzed that for a long time.
No,
Should look okay.
be a good sign, be a good looking sign.
The granite is much stronger.
I was educated on that Sunday afternoon out there, on the contracts.
All right, we got on the sign, good sign squared away.
Mr. Smith, is there anything else you all need to know about that sign?
No, sir, I believe you've answered all my questions. I'm ready to go.
Miss Lucas.
Get through out there tonight.
This is not about the sign,
Right.
though.
Hopefully it won't be any more about that.
And I failed to put this here, but I just wanted to let you all know, because something's going to occur tomorrow, and I don't want you all caught off guard. There will be a West Virginia trooper on one of our buses. And there will be and that's because of the safety of people passing the buses. When they have the stop sign out, you know, people are going. Have they already had an interview with you?
No, but they've told me to be there
Okay,
tomorrow.
Okay. And it sounds like there will be a trooper sitting somewhere else. And if there is someone that does violate or goes around the bus, the trooper on the bus will radio to
So there'll be an unmarked car.
unmarked car.
This is just one site.
They're going, yes, and this is basically to start with the public awareness of what is to come.
It's occurring in 6 counties.
6 counties, yes.
Mhm. And then WSAZ will have a reporter on our bus along with the state trooper tomorrow.
That'll be good. It'll be
So,
interesting.
Bring attention.
just didn't want you all to hear about this and not know what's going on, so. That's what I
Man,
need to say.
Mr. Matthews, since Mr. Dana Smith is here, may we ask what the current status of the junior high is?
The junior high got costs on removing the roof today, $51,000. It contains asbestos, and that's gonna be the most expensive portion of the demolition. The floor tile will be somewhere in the neighborhood of $20,000 maybe, and then if we get somebody locally that can give us a good price on demolition of the building after the asbestos is removed, then we'll maybe looking at another $30,000 or $40,000. So you're up to $100,000 at least to demolition of the building. We just got bad results back from the asbestos. Drove the cost up.
I wasn't aware that the roof had asbestos in it.
Well, I didn't think the
I thought it was
top
ceiling
layer
tiles.
would. I knew what the top layer was, but
Tiles.
there happened to be a built-up roof underneath that roof.
Probably the original roof.
That's probably why they didn't take it off when they put a new roof on it, because it has asbestos.
Absolutely.
That was in the Butch Casey era, and that's probably why he left it on there.
Hey, on a different note, I talked to April Roach today. She's the extension agent for the West Virginia Extension Service. And we were talking about maybe some different programs. And I wanted to ask you all if y'all kind of brainstormed about some of the different programs that they might be able to offer through the Extension Service. Steve, I think he's representative for the board with the Extension Service. And we were just kind of talking, we have children that are the same age, and she's family to my wife and me. So we're just kind of talking about that today. And Steve, I think, is going to be having a meeting. They'll be having a meeting coming up.
1st of January.
And if, you know, there's a lot of different issues that come up with, you know, ATV safety and, you know, living in the area that we live in, just the different things that maybe that they can offer to our students. And just kind of give you a heads up now, so if something comes to mind or whatever, email me or email April.
Do we have a list of possible topics?
Well, I think it's just kind of, I think she has a list of some topics, some of the things that she's been kicking around, and it was just kind of coming up with some different things, maybe, you know, some things that maybe you feel that maybe needs to address, maybe some education or some different practices that they could do. But it's something, I think I just wanted to hit you all with that. It's nothing that we have to make a decision on, but it's something that maybe that once we find out, you know, if you're talking to Steve, kind of let him know, or, you know, if you see April out, kind of let her know, maybe this might be something that we could do, and she can always investigate and do different things like that.
I think we're gonna meet on January the 4th, is that right?
I'm going to meet with you individually. I have to set the Extension Service Committee meeting that we typically have the end of January, first part of February for the whole committee to get together. And that's why I'm asking for this information now, to give you a chance to think about it, so that when you do come to that meeting with the entire Extension Service Committee board, that you'll be able to bring other information from the board members, and they've been given time to consider that and think about what those things might be that they'd like to offer up. And then you can bring that at that meeting. And I would see that being much more productive, and it would give me a better opportunity to bring to bear all the resources that I'm offered through the university a whole lot better in the county here than what I've been doing in the past.
I just was, but you and I meet on the 4th, so ideally, I'd get some input from them for that meeting.
I'm planning on trying to meet with all of you individually at some point, and I'd like to do that on an annual basis during this time of the year, because I do my faculty review at the end of the year, which is where I go over all the things I've done all year long. So it's a really good time for me to reflect on what I've done the last year, and then to step in and think about what I plan to do for the next year. And as well, not only just, you know, my programming, but all the agents that we have in the office. Of course, David Roberts is in our office now with Families and Health Services that we can provide. So, you know, I'm always looking at my programming as well as the other programming that may be offered through our office, or maybe not offered to the office right now, that we could bring to the county if you guys feel that there's a need for that. Because our main goal and mission through that office, a primary part of that is education, just like the board's direction is as well. And so I want to make sure that our office is in line with what the board has in mind, and things that we might be able to step in and accomplish that maybe, you know, regular K through 12 teachers don't have time to address, or, you know, that may be something that we could come in and provide in addition to what's being taught in the school. So you guys, I have a lot better input if I have 7 or 8 people bringing me information than if I just try to generate that on my own.
Right.
So that's the direction I'm coming with that, because I'll be talking to commission members as well. Dr. Smith, I'll be meeting with him. So there's a lot of people here in the county that I think will be able to provide me with some information that I really think is going to be beneficial when I start planning my annual faculty assignments for the next year.
Thanks. You have anything else? I think Ms. Lucas has something she needs to say.
Well, I don't know if you all noticed, but, you know, we do have our directors here from the office, and they have, you know, graciously consented with, you know, my suggestion that they attend, especially if there's something on the agenda that I suspect that you all may have questions about, and sometimes I don't know, and they're the ones that would be able to give you those answers immediately. Mr. Midkiff and I, it saves us a step of going back and then trying to find the answer and then sending it out to you all. And when we were compiling the after-school information, I just felt like, you know, if they're here and if you have a question, you know, about any of the people that we have or the funding source that they're in charge of, it would just be helpful. But I certainly appreciate them coming and giving up their evening. But, you know, I think it's important that you guys see.
Yeah, they're welcome every time.
Yes, every time. That's what I keep telling you.
Don't you all giggle, we're just giggling.
Before we adjourn, KK, Trish, can you get us an update on the Harsh property on the next board meeting? Or is the attorney just sitting there and doing nothing, or what are we doing?
With that proposal that you guys gave about the
Yeah.
the 90,000 offering, and of course, what was our last correspondence with from them that he
Lounge. Or he rejected our offer.
Well, then.
And that did not stop the interest. They
Well-
had to accept it.
Well, but then has a court date been set? Do we
No.
know that?
We have heard nothing else.
And of
Well,
course,
we
he
need to
knows
rush
the
it
longer-
up, is what I'm saying.
We're losing money. Yeah, they know the longer it goes, the more he'll get, so they
Yeah.
just, they're in no hurry to.
Well, don't we have a right to a speedy trial?
Obviously not. I'm gonna write that down, Fred, and ask if we have a right to a speedy trial.
Oh, gosh. Well, this could go on for years.
Yeah, it could go for a long time.
I have not, like I said, nothing else from.
Well, I'm like Fred, I was wondering if the judge had ever set a court date.
There's no sympathy with the school board. Nothing. No.
We found that out already.
They think we're rich. We have plenty of money.
Government.
I have something to say about the curb at Harts at the new school up there. I went up there, and where, the way the traffic is routed through there, you go up right in that curve and make a left and come back down in front of the school. So where our buses are going up there to make that left, they're turning right in that curve, and they're gonna have to make a pretty sharp turn there. There's no way they can gun it enough to get over that bank before a vehicle comes around that curve. But now I have talked to Scott Eflin from the Department of Highways in Huntington, and there's also been correspondence with the head department in Charleston, and they say that it will be removed. But it's my understanding, and Dana brought the name up first, that it might be an issue regarding Brumfields. I don't recall ever using a first name when I said that, but it's on tape, I may have. But there's 2 Brumfields there. Now, the dirt that has been moved has been off Terry Brumfield, not Charles Brumfield. And, but I don't recall using a first name.
I don't think you did. You don't think you did?
I don't think I did either, but I haven't even read the article in the paper, and it doesn't matter. I mean, I would have said it, you know me.
I quoted you directly. You said Brumfield. You didn't say
Yeah.
either person.
Well, I haven't even read the article.
Okay.
I did.
But I was at Cleveland Clinic when I was calling in. But anyways, I think that is going to be taken care of there, so there won't be such an issue turning in that curve. The bus coming in from the from the other side is going to be fine. You know, they just turn off. But the one coming from this direction up is the one that was going to be in danger. But I think the property was Terry Brumfield's that had been moved, the dirt.
Yes. That's fine.
Yeah.
Seems
Well,
like
I have, like I say, I haven't read the article. Somebody said I said Charles Brumfield. And I said, I don't recall using the first name.
Do we have a projected date of the students going to the building?
Yes, we do.
I haven't shared that.
Tell me. I haven't shared that, I'm sorry.
The news said a couple of months, but I thought we were going at Christmas break.
We will be moving the students, I don't have my calendar in front of me.
Students stay home January 3rd and 4th.
Yes, and that will be the last, the huge move-in that Dana has already coordinated or coordinating. The,
No, that's
Tuesday, Wednesday. The middle school students will come in on that Thursday, middle school students only. That Friday, the elementary students only. And then that Monday, they all will be there. But on one of those days is going to be an open house.
January the 9th would be the official first day.
But the 4th is an
All
open
the
house.
students would be there. And
Yes.
January the 4th is the open house.
And that Ms. Dingus will be setting up a schedule for people to come in, and they're gonna have like a tour every 20 minutes or something for the public. But then we're planning an official opening. We're shooting for the 17th of January, and that is, we're actually waiting for confirmation, you know, for that date, from the governor's office and in his schedule, because then, you know, the public and everyone will be, you guys will be there, and it will be the official grand opening of the school. So that's, Ms. Dingus, Mr. Midkiff and I met with Ms. Dingus, and she had worked with her leadership committee from the schools, and they had a proposed plan. And when she proposed that plan to us, we felt that that was very doable and being able to get everything in. Also over Christmas break, we'll do the last floor waxing in the hallways.
Commons areas
Okay.
and the hallways.
To get that last coat, everything on there, so it'll be ready. Sorry. Had to share that.
Dana, I have a question for you. Is there going to be enough parking space there to accommodate all the teachers' cars and students' cars? Well, shouldn't be any students' cars. Hope not.
We were talking about that today. I believe there's some space at the site that we can gravel some areas, get teachers a little closer to the school rather than having to park in the parking lot. And I believe there's some things that we can look at doing to make those people happy.
I'd hate to see them park along that road up through there like they did at the old carts.
We did talk about that today. Mr. McKiff and Mr. Smith and I said we would go up and look, because I think, I did go back, and I knew there was a 57 in my head for some reason. I think that's the number of staff that would be, because, you know, I keep hearing numbers, and I'm never sure what those numbers correspond to sometimes, but the number, you know, of staff, and then, of course, they have to have so many handicap spaces
Is there
as well.
62 spaces? Is that what's up there?
Jeff's memory was, I'm gonna go by Jeff's memory.
71, it was a number that stood out, you know, with those construction meetings. And it's in that neighborhood, around 70 total parking places.
He's younger than I am, he remembers those numbers too.
Well, if we could even gravel it, even if we don't pave it, we
Yes.
can gravel it till they won't be in the mud.
There's lots of spaces that we can increase and get them closer to the building. Make a lot of people happy, right?
All right. Well, if you don't have anything else, I make a motion that we adjourn until December the 20th at 6 o'clock in the county office.
Yes, sir.
All those in favor to adjourn, please say aye.
All right.
I'll make it.
I guess.